tested engineers. We started promoting engineers at the beginning of last year, but this is our first batch of 7 that went through a promotional process to gain that rank. So I'm going to call up all of our recent promoted engineers: Jake Dehan, Jose Islas, Tanner Abersol, Casey Bazzelli, Nate McCon, Ryan Green, and Anthony Parra. Just if you would come stand. And this is big. So our engineers, they don't know this yet, but their promotion is conditional. It's going to depend on how your oath of office goes. If you guys can do it in unison with a good cadence. So they're going to read an oath of office. After their oath of office, one at a time, we'll start with Jake. We'll come up, shake hands with Chief. Jake, you guys can have your significant others, or the Chief come up and do a badge pinning, a quick photo, and then we're going to move on to lieutenants. So I know you guys have been practicing your oath of office. Jake, you're going to keep this out. Jake's going to lead their oath of office. So you just start and you guys follow along, please.
I do solemnly swear to uphold the ideals, expectations, values, policies, and image of Fire District 4. As a firefighter of Fire District 4, my duty is to serve the people I swear to protect, to safeguard and preserve life, health, and property against fire and other perils, and maintain proficiency in fire service skills. I will never allow my personal feelings or danger to self deter me from my responsibilities. I will complete my duties to the best of my ability with fairness and without prejudice. I will at all times respect the property and rights of all. I will constantly strive to achieve the objectives and ideals that the fire service instills. I accept this badge of my office as a symbol of public faith and trust, and wear it as a reminder of my dedication to the ethics of the fire service.
Pretty good.
Very good. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. My wife's
Come on up.
Yep. You can give a hug, whatever, stand by him, and then we'll do it. Okay, let's do this. Got it? Got it. Congratulations. No, you just handed it to the.
Oh, yeah.
We were only you had it in your pocket.
No,
Yeah,
I gave it to him.
that's okay. Well, we can adapt and overcome.
That's right.
Really hard. It doesn't look hard.
Yeah.
It's not just even like that. Oh, you did good. Okay. Oh, you there?
Oh, okay.
Where are you going? Yeah. That was Congratulations.
These photos will be available for purchase.
There's a gift shop, you have to go out on the way out. Congratulations.
All right, our next group we want to recognize tonight is our newly promoted lieutenants. And I want to recognize Gabe Harrington, who is out on a state mob, so he's not in attendance tonight. And I'd like to call up Carl Jacobson, Kenton Lucky, and Doug Higby to be recognized. Yeah, I didn't think the engineers would do that well. You guys got a tough act to follow.
We want it in double time though.
All right,
I
Doug.
just want to better than ideals.
Just like that, you got it.
All right.
I, Doug Higby,
Do solemnly swear to uphold the ideals, expectations, values, policies, and image of Fire District 4. As an officer of Fire District 4, my duty is to serve the people I swear to protect, to safeguard and preserve life, health, and property against fire and other predators, and maintain proficiency in fire service skills. I will never allow my personal feelings or danger to self deter me from my responsibilities. I will lead my fire company to the best of my ability with fairness and without prejudice. I will at all times respect the property and rights of all. I will consistently strive to achieve the objectives and ideals at the fire service instills. I accept this badge of my office as a symbol of public faith and trust, and wear it as a reminder of my dedication to the ethics of the fire service.
Every one of these, they should make a score. Hey, you have someone come up?
Yes, please.
You'll see.
Boy, come here, bud. I think so. Let's go.
Congratulations, though. I'll come into me. I get it. Got lots of hair. Thank you all. This is always an important time for any organization as we move through moving people up the family. So we appreciate everybody being here. You're more than welcome to stay for our regular meeting, but we usually take about a 5-minute break. If families want to go and take pictures and maybe not stay for the whole meeting, that's completely up to you. So we'll give you about 5 minutes to talk with your family members and decide what you're going to do. Thank you.
Oh, okay, it was gonna be bigger than that. And you need to get to check with the funds, you start with nonprofit. Yeah, I can't do that. Let's start the meeting, but it's one of the,
Whenever you're ready, I guess. Seems to settle down.
All right, we will continue meeting. We're on to old business. There's no items there. Informational items, accounts payable, payroll. I did request that Thad kind of give us a rundown of the CD and E, the treasurer's report, cash reserves report, and then budget to actual report, because they're all new. There's new items that we haven't seen in the agenda yet, so.
This is all part of Springbrook and the reporting that we're getting out of that program. It'll be pretty nice. You have an expense and a revenue summary, which is your E, that's 1 and 2. I've got those things pulled up. The budget to actual, that's another Springbrook report. You're getting the accounts payable, that's like you've always gotten, but it's just coming out of Springbrook, and then payroll. You have both a summary and a detailed report there. Do you guys have any specific questions about those? It's a lot more information, a lot more detail than you're used to getting, and presented in a lot better way.
So,
I agree.
like the treasury reports is like a reconciliation of a checkbook, if you want to think of it that way. So it's showing you what we've reconciled and how we've gone. So that's one look at it. The budget to actuals is just, what we budgeted, what we spent, how much is left, or have we gone over, same with revenue. So revenue you never really got before, so now you can see how the taxes kind of come in. And as we give them to you every month, you'll see that we basically just get 2 chunks of revenue. We don't get much, and then we get a bunch in April, and we don't get much, and then a bunch in October. And then cash reserves is only once a year. So that's the other one. So that's only in the June timeframe. And it just kind of says, are we holding enough cash to not go broke sometime in the year, since we only get two revenue chunks.
The only other thing I want to mention is with the movement of meetings from time to time, the way these reports will fall is going to differ a little bit. But we'll try to get you an up-to-date meeting or a report anyways for each meeting.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, commissioners?
I was noticing that on page 42 there, where it talks about some of the revenue, there's a lot of brackets around things. And so is that when it talks about remaining, does that mean we've gone over?
So if it's on the revenue side, and the brackets mean we've taken more money in than we budgeted. Because it's a negative revenue.
Negative revenue. Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so it's just looking at that, so it's backwards when you look at the revenue side in accounting. So if it's bracketed, it means you're more, just like if it was an expense, yes.
Yeah,
You would have expended over, but since it's revenue, you revenued over.
So you got more in.
Correct.
Okay. So where are later on, we're gonna have talk about transport waivers and things like that. Where do they show up in all this stuff? Because there's money that's not coming in, but we're saying we're forgiving that, as it were. So you would think that would have to show up somewhere.
It does in systems design billing, but it doesn't, you'll never see it. It's just money that we don't collect that we would have ordinarily either collected or actually written off. A lot of these hardships, if we don't, if we don't grant it, there's a good possibility we just won't see anything anywhere.
So
those would be way down the weeds.
It is,
really far down.
Yeah.
It's never in our accounting, because we never get the money, and so we just make a guesstimate of what we think we're gonna collect in revenue for next year. And we have enough history that that's all figured in of how much we give, and so we don't actually track it. Now, system design does, so if we wanted to know how much we collect from, the percent to bill, if we want, because they do all the collection, we just get that money from it. If we want to know how much we forgive, how much goes to collection, that would all be a report from systems design.
And is that something that the auditor looks at? those kind of things?
Not the detail you're asking about.
Okay.
I don't even think that they look at any detail at all. I mean, I've only been through one, so I don't know, and it does change from year to year, but those types of detail we typically don't look at very much.
All right.
And then I also noticed that on like 44, on page 44, there's a lot of zeros there. And it says 100%. So we expected nothing and we got nothing, so that's 100%. Is that how you read that?
Right, because we don't, and I don't know why.
I mean, I'm just looking at the.
Yeah, I'm not sure why again, we're working on Springbrook. I'm not sure why there's no revenue budgeted for general fund. But there is no revenue budgeted for the other ones because we transfer in, so it's not revenue, it's a transfer. Well, we're still, like I said, we're still trying to dial those reports in. What report is that? Do you see it?
It says budget year to date expense.
Oh, that's why. I think the reason they're all zeros is because we only asked it to give us the expenses. So it wouldn't put any revenues in. That's the expense report, so you're only gonna see expenses.
And maybe I have that there.
But
But that's
Springbrook
the
has
way
it. Yeah,
that's the
there's
way
a box
it's
you check and you uncheck revenue. It doesn't take off the revenue, it just doesn't put the data in.
Okay. I was just, we're looking at it new, so. I'm just
Yeah.
Right. We can
looking at all
suppress
these
certain.
things, wondering what's what, so. Next month when there's nothing there, that'll be good. If there's something shows up where we have to ask more questions, right?
Sure. Well, you can, yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. Before that, though, I had a question, when we were going through accounts payable, the ones that we did. I know we had, with, what's the water district up there by?
3 days.
Three Lakes, we had some issues with the water. I noticed that the news reports for the Monday fire says that we were hauling in water. So I'm assuming we were hauling it in from Snohomish.
Yep.
So is there an issue with being billed with
No.
that or not?
We just had to report it to them, that we reported to the city that we tied into one of their hydrants and used water, and that's fine as long as they they can record it, then they're happy, but no bill associated with it.
All right, okay. That was my question, just to see how to operate differently or whatever. So,
And 3 Lakes doesn't bill us for the hydrant use. They only bill us for the station 42 use.
okay, but I thought we had some issue there.
Training.
Yeah, yeah, how we're using it. And we've got that all resolved. They're good. So it was never a billing, it was just how we were using their water.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, moving on to new business, audio and IT security presentation.
Yeah. We have them on Teams. And I will unmute and turn the volume up, and Bill is talking to him. We can tell him we're ready.
All right, Bill, Brandon, we are ready. Hey, good evening. How's everyone doing? You hear us okay?
Yep.
All right, great. As an odd experience, I've never quite felt like a fly on the wall before. But congrats to all the new lieutenants and everything. That's great. All right, let us know if you want us to kind of dive in. We can do that. Or if you've got some questions to start out, that works too.
I think we were just planning on you diving in and then questions after. Is that okay?
All right, yep, you got it. All right, let me share my screen quickly here. Let me know if you guys can see this. See that all right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. So we'll just quickly go through. Thank you for having us on here. It's been, several years now that we've been supporting the station there, the stations, and we appreciate it. It's been
a great relationship so far. Very much on our side have enjoyed it. And just a little kind of history of us, of who we are, for those of you that might not know us. We were founded in 2013, kind of a mission to reinvent the old grumpy IT guy industry. We're based out of Kirkland, Washington, and we've got people now working in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, California, Oregon, and up to Bellingham. So kind of a wide swath of the Pacific Northwest, and doing IT, networking, telecommunications, a little bit of everything. So some of the core things that we're looking for: simplicity, speed, services are kind of our three things that we're focused on. I'll skip over the staff highlights, but suffice to say, we've got people that do things, and these are some of them, including myself here. But lots of IT experience. Jeremy, our IT director, ton of time spent at Microsoft, and Janae and myself met at a previous job, and that's when we started this one. So lots of verticals. Skip past that. Let's get to the stuff that we want to talk about for you guys. So currently what we're doing for you is we're supporting station 41, 42, and 43, along with a training facility, approximately 34 workstations, 6 servers. We've got servers at 2 different locations for redundancy, and then we're supporting the firewalls and the routers at each location. So all that's to say that the way we look at ourselves is we are the technical team behind everything that's making sure that that you guys can operate. So we're also doing the phones for all the stations in addition, so making sure that the phones are online, working, when people call they can get through. Along with that, our service plans, how that works is we charge a monthly fee per device that we support, and for that you're getting a remote agent that we can use to log in, and we can make sure that we can get onto everybody's computer as quickly as possible to help fix things. We're automatically updating Windows software, third-party supported applications, weekly and monthly, Java, Adobe, Outlook, Word, all of those things, basically just trying to keep that process out of the way so that your staff is not having to worry about that. Antivirus protection, we've got a lot of different security, from when we started with you guys to now, the security landscape has shifted tremendously. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons that we'll get into this a little bit later, but it's one of the reasons that we've switched to our kind of 2.0 plan, just to better cover our clients for these security things. So we got 24/7 support. Our normal business hours are 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We've got on-call after hours should anything happen, and then we've got a number of different monitoring systems and set up for the worst case that should happen if something were to happen, or if a network intrusion were to happen, servers were to go offline. We get notified of that after hours and are able to respond. Telephone chat support. Any way that you can reach out to us, we try to make sure that we're available. On-site support, of course, is available. It says for a dispatch fee. We actually don't charge a dispatch fee to get out there and support. And we try to be on site as needed. We give our technicians a lot of discretion in order to do that and help. So email support of Office 365, which is the email platform, technology platform that you guys use. Backups and backup monitoring, and then managing the routers and the devices and the firewalls that you guys are using there as well. So we can go through this if you'd like. This is basically the kind of monthly pricing that we've got configured currently with the station, and we'll send a copy of this presentation out afterwards if you'd like to look through that as well. I went ahead and highlighted, some of the newer things that we're working on here, assuming that might be of more interest. But we've got a VeloCloud that we're working on testing and rolling out right now at the stations. And the purpose of that is to replace the older routers and firewalls that you have at the stations with something that's new. So the older routers and firewalls are more manual. They're also getting a bit dated. So those are some things that you don't want to just wake up one morning and have not work, because your entire operation will be down. So it does make sense to replace those after so many years. But the more important thing is that these fellow clouds will essentially aggregate all of your different connections. So with how much work we do online, it's very important that we have multiple kind of redundancies within there. So with the VeloCloud, we're plugging in T-Mobile internet connection, the county fiber, the Comcast line, and then all three of those can work seamlessly. You can literally sit behind and you can just unplug one, plug it back in, unplug another one, plug it back in, and continue with a phone call or surfing the web or doing whatever you're doing at the same time while that's happening. So it's a big kind of initiative that we've got with the fire station right now with you guys. Manage that backup disaster recovery, we swapped that out. That is now included in the new plan. And anti-phishing. So one of the biggest, probably the biggest thing that we're seeing across all of our clients is phishing emails. So that's your standard, hey, can you click on this DocuSign link to sign whatever? You click on the link, it looks like an Office 365 login, and you type in all your information, and then you've just given your username and password away to the threat actors. So adding that in is now part included in what we've got going on with you guys, as well as Total, which is a VPN solution that we're using with the test piloting with the Chiefs right now. That allows them to basically work from anywhere over an encrypted connection, but making sure that everything back at the station is safe and just works. We've got a little bit of an overview on the voice. We've had that voice for a long time. Happy to go into it, but suffice to say, all of the voice seats that all of the staff use, common area seats, the phone numbers are all supported by us. So the idea is you've got just one phone call to us to help with anything that you may need. I feel like I've been talking a really long time here, so any questions or anything that I can answer?
Do we have two phone services? Do we have, who's out at?
Well, yeah, all the stations, the phones are through them all via internet.
Or even if they're not
Yeah.
Comcast?
Yeah.
Because you just mentioned Comcast.
Yes, so that's the internet provider.
Providers that don't work together.
No questions.
I have a question.
Okay,
Yeah,
question.
question. Do you have any other, what other fire districts do you have for clients?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think Bill, Columbia Fire, Columbia Fire is a different thing. I don't know that we have any actual fire districts as clients, but I can get back to you on that.
Do you have at least other organizations that deal with PHI and like private health information and all that? Do you have any other healthcare organizations?
Yeah, we deal with a lot of dental organizations, pharmacies, HIPAA. Yep.
Good. And then I guess my last question, you were talking about phishing and those links, the kind of common emails. Do you have any like cybersecurity training that you can kind of push out to your different clients that we could push out to our employees? Just, I know it's not that exciting, but it is good for somebody to take a online training module that kind of says, hey, don't click on this kind of thing, do click on that kind of thing. So I was wondering if you had any educational component with it that you can push out through.
Yeah, great question, and a favorite topic of ours. That is, as boring as it is and as much as employees hate it, that is the best way to get people, looking at the security and making sure it's top of mind. So we do actually with the iron scales anti-phishing that we just are rolling out. We have the ability to send out training courses to where people will click and log in. The other thing that is really quite handy that we can do is we will send out kind of a fake phishing email for all the employees, and we can make those look all the same. We can make them all look different per employee, and then depending on what the employee does with that, will know if it happened. So they could click, hey, report phishing. That's great. It'll give them a little, hey, good news, you did the right thing, congratulations, you're a rock star kind of thing. A lot of times we'll have people just forward those into our help desk. Also great. At least they're thinking about the security of the links that they're sending. And then lastly, if they do click on the link or they do put their credentials in, it will bring them to a landing page that says, hey, this is a phishing test, and here's what you could have looked at. Here's a training on how to make sure that these things are noticed more in the future. So yes, the answer is yes.
Good, thank you. Thanks for the information. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Yeah. Cybersecurity training,
they're always pretty funny when we first send them out. We get a lot of very confused calls and emails. Great question.
I think that's it for questions.
Okay. Well, let's see if I've got anything else here. So again, I can send this out, or we will send this out after the meeting. Bill will send it out. But this just goes over kind of our old plan versus new plan, and essentially what we've done. The older plan had a lot of kind of add-ons, a la carte, and it was just a lot easier. At some point for us, it doesn't make sense for our clients to have part of their security turned on, but they don't want to turn on other security. So we've just gone through and streamlined it, included everything in there, and really where that came from was, making the change to the new firewall, making the change to the total client for everything. Just made more sense to turn this on rather than having those devices all be separate. So there's a lot of things that you guys used to pay for separately that now are just included in the plan. In addition, you've got expanded hours and things. But we've kind of highlighted all of those items on the slide, so I won't go over them. And that's it.
So I'll just recap into layman's terms, and Bill can add on. But we're kind of doing 3 different things. Main things. 1, upgrading the software security, like the iron scales and some of the other things. The iron scales is what now filters out what it thinks is spam or phishing, and then I can go in and see what they are, and if they're right, I can quarantine them and let them have it. We're updating the hardware, like the firewalls, to be more in line with updated security, and then the Velo Cloud allows us to do that. Keep only here, we are going to have 3 different internets all working so that we can have total redundancy and never go down. Because our downtime has been not because of Audien or our system, our downtime has been because the internet goes out. And so now having County Fiber, Comcast, and T-Mobile all on the Velo Cloud will help. It also makes us able to work remotely much easier than what we've been testing out. I don't even know I'm not on my desktop. And the other old system I had, we had to log on 2 different ways. It would connect, and then it would not like it, it would dump us and reconnect down. So now it's just Stimulus that's doing it without me seeing. Those are the 3 big changes, right? Anything else, Bill?
Yeah, no hardware and the internet redundancy firewalls that we are replacing currently only support 1 internet connection, and that's a huge issue. So that now we can have all 3 combined in. We can do load balancing if we wanted to. Right now it's just failover, and literally last Friday with staff in the office and everything else, plugged the Comcast, plugged it back in, and nobody knew that we lost internet because it immediately switched to the T-Mobile connection, and everything was seamless. Nobody knew.
And with our voice over internet phones, when you lose internet, we have no phones either. So we can't get to our service, work screeches to a halt. The other thing is this allows us, we've been trying to get the digital reader boards in so we can push out digital real-time information and then have not CAB, but pulse point up so the crews can have a real-time status update that they're just watching. And we need this hardware really to be able to broadcast that from a central location, which would be obviously the admin office, so we can put whatever information out we want and broadcast it to the other 2 stations securely.
No questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll let Audion go then. Is that okay?
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you. See you guys.
All right, any more discussions around the audience presentation?
If the updated cost estimates that we'll have to do in the next motion, the budget estimate is in here, but we'll need a motion first to accept their proposed changes.
All right, I'll make a motion to adopt the recommended IT upgrades as presented. All in favor of that one?
Let me see, that's on page 51, right?
46.
Yeah, 46
No,
through,
like,
yeah, the
the
actual
updates are
estimate.
What we're gonna vote on is on page 51, is that right?
I'll have to look.
I think that's what they were showing up there.
Well,
Lots of colors.
Yeah, it's really, it depends on how you say it. It's really 47 through 50, and then they took 47 through 50 and put it into a little table, which is 51. But 47 through 50 is just another way of saying page 51.
All right, yeah, any discussion around the motion? All right, I'll repeat the motion. Motion to adopt the recommended IT upgrades as presented. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
All right, motion passed. All right, budget adjustments and reports.
Yeah, so with this one, we're gonna just go over the cash reserve report again, and then those treasury reports are actually here. No, they're not, they're in the next one. So the cash reserves report talks about, let me go back to that real quick, sorry, now I'm getting myself off. Cash reserve report is an update of how our cash reserves go throughout the year. So we look at 4 times that are important. Right before we get our spring tax revenue, right after, and then the same in the fall, right before and right after. And so we don't want to be too low, because if we're too low right before our next cash reserve, that's an indication that we might not make it through to the next one. And if we're too high afterwards, it's saying that maybe we have too much in our cash reserves and we're not using the money as effectively as we could. Our numbers are right in line with everything, so our numbers aren't too high or too low really. When you look at it, the low number is the really important one. It's a little bit higher than we need, and so we ended up having, I think, $850,000 of budget reserve from last year, and so we're going to recommend putting about 600, 660, I believe, is that right? Into keeping that in the cash reserves to bolster that a little bit. And then we'll use the rest to fund some of the budget adjustments as presented. One is obviously the IT. We need to increase the budget of the IT. Just getting down to my things, so I make sure I say them all right. And then we had a slight oversight when we were changing all the line items last year. In the maintenance, we need to increase that by about $4,500. And then we're doing the cash reserves by $200,000. The 660 was going to F78 for the capital facilities project. So that would take care of all that budget reserve. We're doing some other budget adjustments without the cash reserve because we had some overages in other line items. We're not doing what we were expecting, so we can move some money from PPE into IMS and some other things. And so those are all listed there for you in the motion or in the ad issue. And if we make all those, we feel we have enough money in the reserves to make the budget adjustments, slightly bolster the cash reserves by $200,000, and then move 660 into F78 for the capital facilities. Sorry about that. I had numbers going all over the place. A lot of numbers today.
I was reading it.
You were doing better than me. You should just say, I got this, Chief. Can I do it for you?
I heard what you meant.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm not sure I know what I meant right now.
Well, I would move that we accept the transfers as presented there on page 53. Those various transfers mentioned there.
All right. All in favor of that motion? Aye. Motion passed. Historical accounting consultant/project.
Yes, I'm gonna do better at this one, I promise. So we finally, we had talked to you about it, we finally really discovered what the problem is, that from the county reports, there's two numbers, we're only supposed to report one, two were getting reported. That's what caused a 40,000 discrepancy in our accounts, so we know exactly now, really, we finally figured out exactly what we're doing with the help of, actually, we're getting estimates from the historical accountants. But we still don't know the best way to correct it that the auditors will agree with. So we still want to hire the historical accountant so they can come in, and we know the generals, but we don't know exactly when they happened and where they happened. And so she can help us come in and find out exactly where they got entered in the ledger wrong, how to fix it to get Springbrook right. At the same time, she's worked with a lot of small governments, especially fire districts in the state, so she can help us on how to use Springbrook right, how to get the best reports out of it, and also how to align our funds and some other things to be the most efficient. And Thad, you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, I think you covered it pretty good. It's, unless there was a question, this has gone back for some time because the audit in 2021 uncovered basically a compounding problem that had occurred, from at least the year before. The auditors weren't overly concerned as far as like a theft or missing funds. It was just a misreported category or some funds. And then as we started looking into that more, like Chief said, I ended up figuring it out partly through some stuff I did and partly through some information I gave one of these accountants to give us a bid for doing some work for us. And she pretty quickly did a few things and said, I think I may have found a bulk of your problem already, so, which was nice. But, and then, I don't know if we want to get into it, we got two estimates, and the one that we would recommend is the accountant that did the work and put a lot of effort into it already.
All right, thank you. Do you have a motion?
Yeah. I had a question before we go on. When I was reading through their proposal to you, I was wondering, when you get down to paragraphs with 3, 4, and 5, if those are things that some of them will come back to the board for our approval on some of those.
Let's see, go play.
I'm just asking, could you elaborate a little on what you mean by paragraphs 3, 4, and 5?
All right, you talk about page 57.
No, yeah, 57, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay,
Yeah.
Andrea Dallas.
That's where I should have mentioned it.
So for the services provided, is that what you're asking about for the specifically for the services that she would be providing?
Well, no, or in whatever for instance, in number 4 there, the last sentence, it's our responsibility to examine and then approve. And usually if something's approved, that would come back to the board, I would normally think.
What she's asking is like, she's gonna use all the things that have been finalized in the reports and the audits as approved by us. And
Already.
yeah, so she's saying that she's gonna use things that we say are accurate and appropriate. If we give her something that's not right, it's not her fault.
Okay. That's what we're gonna do that.
It's her disclaimer.
Right, yeah. Those 3, 4, and 5 are her disclaimer saying,
Okay.
all the information comes from you. If you don't give me right information, I'm not held responsible.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Yeah. I will make a motion to contract with Dow Consulting as proposed, not to exceed $20,000.
All right, all in favor of that motion? Aye. Motion passed. All right, engine 40 repair.
Yeah, so we have a bad head gasket, and it's old enough that they need to replace that and do some work on the top of the engine. It's about $12,000. You know, I don't know what you thought, but my first blush was 12,000 for 96 is a little bit much. But we're apt to where we don't have any other options because we're still probably 6 to 8 months from our engine. Plus, we were planning on using engine 40 for mobs in the next few years. How we get that 12,000 back on one mob. So when you look at it that way, it's a fairly decent return on investment. So I would recommend getting it fixed. We went out and got 3 estimates, and Motorworks seemed like it was the best one. Any other questions? Probably Gary and Greg can answer.
Is there any sort of guarantee that comes with the replacement of that head gasket? Like for 30 days or?
I would imagine, I don't know the answer for sure, I would imagine a minimum of 90 days. But we can certainly look into that and find that out very easily.
I would hope there'd be some sort of.
That's what I,
You know, so otherwise, I don't think that would be the way to go. At least without some sort of guarantees if something happens, at least initially.
I think more than anything is that you really need backup engine anyways.
Right.
So really this will be one of the options that's getting done.
And we're
There's such things like a used fire engine lot or you can just go and use fire engine.
yeah. No, you can find them out there, but you're gonna pay
Yeah.
40,000 for something that's just as likely to do this exact same thing after you buy it. So I'm kind of like, we know what we have here, we might as well.
All right. Any other questions? All right, I make a motion to use motor truck to repair engine 40 not to exceed $12,000. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. 2022 annual report adoption.
Yeah, we finally have our annual report. I'm so sorry it's taken so long. There is still one piece of information that we're trying to get out of them, so it's been a little frustrating. But you have it. We hope that you would adopt it. If there's any questions about it, we can probably answer them. Once you adopt it, we'll put it on our website for the public to be able to view and look at.
I'll move that we adopt the 2022 annual report as presented.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
All right, motion passed. Copier purchase.
Yeah, it's kind of like everything, you know, we had quite a bit in the office leave since I got here, and everything was a lot of memory. Everything was done by memory, so we didn't realize that our lease for our copier was going to be done at the end of August until we got the notice that we didn't tell them within 60 days that we would automatically renew our lease. So we did figured out, we paid about $30,000 over the 5 years of the lease. We can buy a new machine for, as you can see, 10 to 15. So to us, it does not make sense for us to lease the machine. We paid a lot of money that we didn't need to pay. So we got 3 quotes. The people we are with now is the highest at 15,300 something. We have 2 others that we think are cheaper, but with that amount of money, we don't want to say yes to them until we look at them. So the office staff is going to go look at them next week, but we cannot wait until the July meeting for you to approve it, because then we couldn't get a copy here in time, because they come and pick up the other one when we don't renew the lease. So we would like the board to authorize us up to the top amount, the top quote of Pacific Office Automation, 15,500, knowing that we're going to try to go with the lowest, that as long as it's functional, So we're gonna go look at the postage machine copier. We'll go with the cheapest as long as all the functions are there. There would have to be something very weird that when we use it, it's completely not user-friendly or something.
How long do we lease the one that we have out here now?
5 years.
5 years, you said $30,000 in 5 years.
Rough, yeah.
And that's a yearly lease,
It was a 5-year lease.
Okay, so they want another 5-year lease.
It would renew 1 year at a time, 12 months. So if we did nothing, it would automatically renew on September 1st for a year.
Do you have the lifespan of a copy of by chance?
He said 7 to 12.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor, I think that you can see the savings that we do, and we only did it the other day, so.
Yeah, interestingly too, we could either buy our old postage machine for $2,300 or buy a new one for $17.
After we pay lease payments.
Yeah, after we leased it for 5 years. So yeah, yeah.
1,700.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll just need a motion to authorize it up to the 15,750, just in case there's tax or unexpected surprises.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chief to spend up to $15,750 on the copier and postage machine with the additional yearly maintenance contract. All in favor of that motion? Aye. All right, motion passed. Technical rescue. Oh,
So this yearly maintenance, is that something that's renewable?
Yeah,
Or you have to have so many years to start with, or just one at a time?
it's just monthly.
It's not yearly.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's monthly, but we would budget for a year. That's
Sure.
why I put that in. So,
All right.
and they lock when they give you the monthly rate, the rate is locked in for 12 months. That's why I said year. So it's a monthly payment, but it's a rate for 12 months.
have we had any issues with rolling out, like, have we had to do any maintenance on it, or is it pretty reliable?
Pretty reliable, yeah. I don't think anything major. And part of the maintenance contract is they come and replace, or they don't come, but
We do like preventive maintenance, so.
yeah, and the toners are all included in that maintenance contract. So we just call them, they send us the toners, we don't have to buy it. So, yeah, and again, the maintenance contracts were from about 130 to 215. Again, the one we're with now being the highest. So we'll probably go with even a lower maintenance contract with the new ones.
Perfect. Technical rescue equipment purchase.
Yeah, so as you all know, we did a week-long class, a 60-hour class recently, and I think we did a 4-hour online before that. So we've got 11 people trained up through the rope technician level, and so we would like to buy some basic equipment so that they can utilize their training now at that level. And so there's about 17,000, and there's a list in there of everything we're going to do. We are fairly confident that we have a wholesaler that will sell to us at wholesale from CMC and be less than that. But we gave you the retail price, and then we'll work our magic to see how much we can knock off of that.
Is there a certain place that this is going to be stored? These,
Yes.
or so they're not commingled with other stuff?
Yeah, our rescue gear currently is split up into the 3 front-out engines. So most of this equipment will be adding to that cache or replacing some. And then some of the equipment will be issued to the rope technicians as personal equipment that would just be assigned to them. So kind of a combination of personal equipment and stuff that would be on the front-out engines.
I'll move that we authorize up to $17,000 to purchase technical rescue equipment as presented in our packet.
All in favor of that motion? Aye. All right, motion passed. Transport waivers. We have 2 of them. Maybe look at the temporary. Yeah. Any discussion around that?
I have a question on this one.
The best reference on those will be that 23-1213 will number sequentially as we go throughout the year. Since we've taken all the personal information, identifying information out of them. Thank you, Commissioner. I think it's referenced on the worksheet on the very back.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
23-12.
Yes.
I guess I was just wondering, they had listed one income, but then on this sheet there was just a different number, and I'm sure I'm just reading it wrong, so just a teaching moment for me.
Yeah, I think if you look on, it's it's not title, but it starts with the patient's name, date of service, and transport. It's a handwritten
Yeah,
sheet.
that's the one, and it's at the bottom when they self-report their income.
Yeah, he's got family member 1 and then family member 2. And so each of them show an income.
On the one I'm looking, just family member 1, like self-reports an income, or I guess I know I'm just reading it wrong, or like having trouble reading it.
Well, just go
Yeah.
These are not easy to understand.
Yeah,
Well, then we can pull all the information out of them so you can't.
yeah. So
Get up there and go.
I just needed a little help understanding. So they self-report their income here, and then on the
So there's 12 and there's 13. This guy.
Okay,
Got it.
perfect.
Yeah,
Sorry.
got it. Thanks.
So this ODF recommendation is full on this one.
This one just got paper clipped with their own file,
Gotcha.
and I
That would be my mistake.
I
Sorry
couldn't
about
figure
that.
my
We
way out
get
of
them
that
all
paper
included
bag.
in the
So,
packets.
Sorry.
And so everything should be together, nice and tidy in the packet, and you'll have it ahead of time to look at.
This is another one of those systems we're trying to.
As these come in, it's a process. They come in through
Yeah.
the biller. Many times there's missing information. We're trying to give you guys the best information we can, and then as per your request, we're giving you all the information now that we get. And so making sure that we give you good data to make a decision has been a little challenging at times, but.
Makes sense now.
All right, do I have a recommendation or a motion?
So this is what they fill out, right?
Correct.
And what they would ask.
That actual sheet, the very first sheet, I believe is filled out by our biller in talking to the person when it goes to collections,
Right.
or before it goes to collections, and then some of the information that you see in the packet is provided by the individual themselves. There's an application that they fill out. They also provide their income substantiation, and then if there's been any kind of a waiver or charity been granted by the hospital or a receiving facility, they're asked to provide that as well.
And so then, based on all that information, you give us these two
Correct.
on whatever.
Yeah, so that we just work up based on the,
Guidelines.
exactly, federal poverty guidelines.
Yeah.
That are updated every year, so this is the 23 version of that.
I'll move that, for 22-23-13, that we waiver that balance that's there. And on 23-12, I go with the balance that you have on the sheet.
The proposed wage amount. You mean the proposed wage amount?
This, to go with the new balance. But to waive this one.
Yep.
Okay, to waive the one and go with
So 2023-12, so both of them are recommended waiver amounts.
that. And then the other one just waive it.
waiver of the reading.
13. Okay.
Alright, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Motion passed. Alright, an executive session pursuant to RCW 42-30.110, to consider the selection of a site or acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase. The public's knowledge regarding such consideration will cause a likelihood of increased price. Pine Avenue property, 20 minutes with no action expected.
We had something that's 20 minutes and not be taken.
If we need to add, we can add.
Okay.
That great.
10 more minutes extension, 10 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Do I have to wait?
Session has been extended for another 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
Promise?
Hey.
No.
No problem.
Color extension, 5 minutes.
You want to make it 10?
No?
You guys can go across to the
We'll shoot a different
school.
There is a school board meeting.
Yeah, we should.
Guaranteed it's over.
Bauer said he took Monica out to dinner before the school board meeting, and he asked if we would go heckle them for a while.
You committed to tell us 5 more minutes?
Not saying anything for a couple more minutes.
We're waiting for it. We're gonna turn off the lights and
Yeah, we're
go.
just going to turn off the lights and all leave.
Yeah, I'm used to listening to these meetings up there, so.
Hiding out.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably smells like Axe body spray. I think that's where Neil hangs out.
I don't know which is worse, Axe or garlic onions and jalapeno.
I'll take Axe. I'll take Axe.
I think Neil, when he's gassy, runs out here and runs upstairs and runs out and then runs back.
You're right.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I would prefer the Axe over the way it smells.
Did he make breakfast this morning? He makes breakfast.
It was spaghetti.
I've never seen somebody make a breakfast like that for themselves every morning, like the amount.
Plate, and it had jalapenos on it, onions, and it was so bad. Like, my eyes were watering.
Yeah.
I walked in and I literally gagged.
Her head went immediately down.
He starts at he comes in 4:30 in the morning.
He's on the road at like 3,
Yeah,
so
he's
that,
very
I mean,
early,
it's
so
lunchtime by the
that's
time he
lunch.
gets
Yeah,
home.
I get up at 5:30 and
I don't think I should be. I just don't want to have big onions. It's salt me at 6 a.m.
We're gonna extend for 10 more minutes.